So type 5, I've called the Faraday Mage or info dump wars. So they steer conversations towards specific concepts, their specializations or hyperfixations or unusual topics, regardless of what the other person wants. Fives are often in a compartmentalized brain sack, swimming in a stew of their own esoterica theories, odd ideas, and visions. Especially five wing fours, more than five wing sixes, even they can get really fucking weird with what they talk about. Um, and this isn't like a nine who can with a five fix, for example, or a seven fix really, but nines can get lost in an internal world of like symbols and theories, but they struggle to articulate them on command. And fives are quite sharp on their expression. You just don't get it because like you're not as smart as they are. So they can like really like rattle off like a whole bunch of shit and you might not understand what it is, but it's still very specific, whereas nines can kind of ramble and it's very vague. Fives are quite sharp, so but you don't get it. It's the same thing as like a four. It's like you don't get it. So with fives, it's more mentally orientated, where it's like you're not as smart as me. With fours, it's more like you're not as like deep and like different and special and like original and weird and like creative as me. And with fives, it's more like you're just like not as intelligent as I am. And it's not like book intelligence where it's like six intelligence, where it's like they've read all the books, they know all the history. It's like five intelligence is more like I know everything about this topic that you can't know about because like fucking nobody knows as much about this topic as I do. And it's not like necessarily based on like them reading books. It's like they've done their own experiments. They've done their own weird little excavations and like they've taken apart things and learned how to utilize it. And then they've used that to create their own weird things. And it's a very active mental, even though it's like withdrawn, it's not withdrawn like in the way that nines are, where they're sort of just like um, kind of lost in a fantasy. Fives are like a competency rejection type. So they're like affecting their outer reality with extreme independence and becoming super competent in this one area that they are just like fucking fixated on. Might be a couple areas depending on their tri type or like whatever, but they're like very locked in, and they're not going to sacrifice that for connections or like whatever. So, um, so fives, as a result, can come across in conversation as intellectually condescending, mentally arrogant, cold, uncaring, and reptilian. So this is also like where they kind of differ from nines. They're cunty. Like fives can be very hubristic and like looking down on other people. Even if you got like a five wing 693, there's still this element of like and they can be like eru I can't say it for some reason now. Erudite for erudite's sake. Have I ever said that word out loud? I don't know. Um, while you may feel confused by what they're saying, they're not being vague, fluffy, or emotional about it. Again, another difference between nine and five. However, if they find you interesting, they may put a lot of focus on you, which means you're an intriguing specimen. This is less about connection for them and more about squeezing novel data out of you or painting cells in a spreadsheet with your viscera. So if they're putting a lot of attention on you, you might feel like special, like, wow, they really like me, but it might just be that they find you temporarily interesting and they're getting data off you. um, so the subtext of this with a five, if we must speak, it will be on my terms and topics I wish to engage in. My fixation brain tabs are the most important thing to me, therefore they get all of the RAM. If you try and steal my RAM for meaningless queries, your little tab will be obliterated. Unless, of course, like I said, you are giving them novel data. So they might be asking you about yourself, but they're not like genuinely interested in you as a person. They're interested in like sort of you as a concept and what they can extract from you that they'll learn something from and apply to whatever it is that they're focused on. And how they hijack conversations. They're unlikely to engage with you on topics they aren't interested in, overly emotional topics, personally messy issues. Ask them about a subject they are interested in, and it becomes like info dump wars, hence the name. It can almost feel like talking to an alien until you learn their language. And then you mostly have to operate within that language because you're not going to get a whole lot else out of them otherwise. So, um, a long time ago, someone in one of the old groups said that interacting with fives, to her, it felt like they were trying to put her head in a box for her to be able to speak to them. And I think that that kind of does sum it up in some ways. I talk to a five pretty frequently, and I don't feel that way. But I think we have like a battle going on where he won't engage us. I'll tell him a bunch of stuff, and then he just won't respond to it. And he'll respond to me with a bunch of stuff, and then I won't respond to it. But um, we're mutually rejecting each other's boxes. But I think that there is a quality of that where it's like, I know not to talk to him about these topics because he doesn't want to hear about these topics. Sometimes I just do it anyways. And like I said, I usually often don't get a response. So, but if you keep engaging with a five on stuff they're not interested in, then you're just going to be met with like a wall because they're rejection types. So that's kind of, if you're interested, like I have a video on the entitlement of the types and I kind of get more into like how fives control the narrative a little bit in that one.